Good afternoon and welcome to the Unearthing programme. I always hiccup over that a little bit, so I apologise profusely. We're unearthing today and I'm joined by Yasmin, our social media manager, and Samara, our trainer for EPS. So welcome both of you. We thought it was very apt to pick birthdays today because somebody is due their birthday very soon. Who would that be, Yasmin?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's our neighbour.
So we've just had a little works do where we celebrate. We try to celebrate when we can on a Wednesday in the week of the birthday, whose ever birthday it is, because it's just nice to be able to say happy birthday. But for a lot of people who are on the autistic spectrum, birthdays in particular are quite stressful times. So I've invited Yasmin and Samara to come and join me really to think about what it is that we find quite stressful around birthday. So Yasmin, as it's your birthday soon, do you want to kick us off with this? What would you find stressful around birthdays?
Well, I was actually thinking about it when Samara...
freezing. I don't know if anyone can still see me.
You're fine. We can still see you.
When Samara brought up the topic, I was automatically thinking of previous birthdays of what I've done. And I was thinking when I was a child, I did have more parties that revolved around other people being there. But the older I got, the more it was like, oh, I want to do kind of something either by myself or with a very small amount of people. So it used to be like go to a museum of something that I'm really interested in, or spend the day at the beach where I don't feel like I'm rushing, because I absolutely hate it when I feel like, oh God, I've got to get here at this time and it's so stressful and I just want to be able to enjoy not really doing anything.
Mm-hmm. So would you say the same, Samara, or different? I mean, Yasmin's indicated a few things there. She doesn't want to be stressed. She doesn't want to be rushed. She doesn't want to have to be kind of worrying about what she's got to do and how she's got to do it. At this point, Samara?
Sorry, it keeps freezing.
Did you hear what I was saying?
No.
So how do you find it when, so Yasmin's saying that it's very stressful with having to go to a certain place, having to attend at a certain time, having to do things in a certain way. She finds that so stressful. What about you?
Yeah, I think I get really worked up before my birthday because like I put too much pressure on myself to have a good day, and then I feel like on the actual day I feel very flat and I find it actually hard to enjoy it.
Yeah, nice point. Why do you think that is the case then? No. Why do you think that is the case, this high pressure?
I think I missed half of what you said again. Sorry, it still keeps freezing.
About the pressure on you.
I feel like there's a lot of pressure for everyone else for you to like be happy on your birthday and enjoy it. So I get so worked up about actually being happy on my birthday that I actually spend the day miserable.
But that's a really valid point, isn't it? What about you, Yasmin? Do you ever feel like that?
There's some people out there in the world who think birthdays are usually no birthdays, and then there's other people who are like, it's my day, And I think I'm kind of border on one of those people, but I get really worried everyone's going to be really annoyed with what I want to pick to do for my day, So we've done beach days in the past, and you've been relatively all right, but Dad, when he's done, he's done. And I'm like, oh, I want to stay longer, but I don't want him to be upset. So we end up going home. We end up doing something else. So I'm not upset, but sometimes I'm still thinking about how are other people going to be in what we're doing activity-wise. And especially as this year, I really want to go to the local racetrack. I can't drive, so somebody's going to have to drop me off if they don't want to go with me. And I'm so worried, thinking, oh God, I'm going to have to force either two people to be there and they're not going to enjoy it, or I have to go by myself. And then it's, well, I don't win either way, because either somebody's going to be upset because they don't want to be doing this activity, or I'm going to be upset because I'm doing it by myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's a real element then, isn't there, of pressure about wanting to please others, is there not?
Yeah.
You know, and that's so sad, isn't it? Because if it's your birthday, the one thing that other people want for you is to feel that you don't feel obligated to others. It is your special day. I remember when Yasmin was very young, invariably the shopping list of everything she wanted was long. Of course, it's much reduced, but it's a bit like Christmas, isn't it? Our children always have a shopping list. They've got the Argos catalogue and they've ticked everything in the book. Please have this lorry turn up. It's got everything I want in it and more. But the one thing that I do know very early on with Yasmin was that she really struggled with so many gifts. And it was much easier to kind of make a week of it because it was at a pace that she could cope with. And she had time to enjoy her gifts and play with them, rather than this awful overload, clearly overwhelming her and just completely breaking down, not being able to feel any pleasure whatsoever. And invariably, the toys were never quite what she wanted, even though at the time, if she was relaxed, she would have very much wanted them. So I was very aware of that. And we had a niece who literally would explode because she was so overwhelmed with her birthday and birthday gifts. And so I felt really comforted that I'd kind of gone down the right path with Yasmin on that. So have you noticed whether you find it easier then to do a little bit every day? Would that, would that bring down the pressure of constantly having to be happy and please everybody?
I think it would. I know when I was younger, my mum said that I kind of did that naturally, like through the day I would open one thing and play with that for a while. And then but there was 5 of us all together. I've got 4 siblings, so the attention wasn't. Oh wait, no, I'm talking about Christmas now.
Yeah, your day.
Christmas is another story. Sorry. Yeah, no. On my birthdays anyway, I do have quite a lot of extended family, so I kind of could spread it out. And my mum would always say that I would like open something and play with it for a bit, and all my siblings would get annoyed at me because they wanted me to open the rest of my presents. But
Okay.
yeah, but so I kind of
So
did
there's
that.
more pressure again, isn't it, to please them?
Yeah, but I think a big thing, and I don't know if this is just for people in general or if it is being on the spectrum, I think some of the emotions you feel when you're anxious are fairly similar to the feelings you get with excitement. So I think sometimes they can get kind of mixed up and you can actually feel very anxious and you don't really realize it's actually excitement.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point. My son writes a Christmas list and we choose what's appropriate. We don't wrap them. He knows what he's getting and which reduces the anxiety. Here we go. Son dislikes having a birthday cake, no singing. Finds it very distressing. So what do you like? We didn't actually sing you happy birthday in the canteen, did we? So
please don't. It's embarrassing for me, it's embarrassing for you. Let's just not do it. It's okay. I am quite happy that we missed out on that. I especially find it embarrassing when you're like at a restaurant because there's just strangers looking at you. But that draws too much attention to me, because I don't mind if people are like in a group and they each take their turn to say happy birthday to me. I don't mind that. But when it's like singing and it's all directed at you, that's too much pressure to be put under, and it makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah. What about you, Samara?
I don't know. I think the same as Yasmin. I just think it's awkward and embarrassing. I'd rather people didn't sing at me.
Yeah, that's the thing. It feels like they're singing at you, not to you. And I think the thing is, I know I didn't find it as embarrassing when I was a child. And I think it's because children naturally have shorter attention spans. So if there was a group of 10 children and parents singing to me, I know it's not 10 pairs of eyes on me, because there's going to be at least 3 kids just looking around the room, not looking at me, and probably more mumbling it rather than directing it at me. So it wasn't as pressurizing, whereas adults will make a very pointed effort of trying to look you in the eye as they're singing at you. And it's just, I'm just like, can you stop? You know, put a paper bag over your head or something. I don't know. It's just so stressful, because I don't know if you find, but some adults really do this. I'm looking you in the eye. I'm going to keep looking you into the eye until you register I have looked you in the eye. And I'm like, I've noticed it. I noticed I'm not looking you in the eye. I don't like it. And they don't look away until they've realized you've recognized that you've seen them staring at you.
Yeah.
I'm even more uncomfortable, because I'm just like, I don't want to look you in the eye, but you're not going to stop until I give you a slight glaze over, you know? But, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I find that quite interesting, because I think very much it's the done thing to do, isn't it? Particularly when you are little. How do you grab children, little children? How do you grab their attention that there is something exciting and to celebrate? And it's much easier to do sing-song, isn't it? And particularly if the words are very familiar. So I think there's an element of that. But I think also you don't tend to hear it as much as children get older, because, maybe for both of your reasons, that it's just embarrassing and you just don't do that when you're a bit more grown up. I don't know. But what about
it. Go on.
No, you go on.
I was just thinking about it. I can occasionally remember in childhood memories people singing happy birthday to me. But the one thing that I really remember is we used to have this cake hat with candles on it. Press the button and it would sing to you. That I'm more okay with, because it's not a person looking at me doing it. I feel more okay with that. And if people are looking at me, they're more likely to be looking at the fact that I'm wearing a cake on my head than the fact that it's singing happy birthday to me.
What about then, because one of the things that a lot of parents I hear say in reports is that initially their children are invited to parties, but quite quickly, so we're talking about 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds particularly, that time frame, parents begin to notice the children are not being invited to parties. And that's awful, isn't it? It's that horrible feeling that my child's not been included. So is there any kind of comments around that, how that can be for you as a parent, or thinking about how that feels for you as a child, knowing that your other classmates have been invited but you haven't?
The last party I was invited to, I think I was about 12. But I was very aware I was invited because I was the new kid at school and nobody knew me yet. Because as soon as they knew me, I wasn't invited the next year. It's almost like they suddenly realized, actually, she's too weird. So I got invited within a week of me being at this school, and I never got invited ever again. And I was like, oh, I don't know if it's because I was too tall and I had the audacity to wear taller high heels than the birthday. I don't know what it was, but I was never invited again. But even when I received the invitation, I was very aware. I even said to the girl, why have you invited me? You don't know me. And I think she thought I was going to be like one of those popular people. And so she was trying to get ahead of the wave of friends she thought I was going to get. So that was a bit weird. I don't know what that was about, but I was very aware of I'm only being invited because I'm the new shiny toy in the playpen kind of thing.
I'd just like to put this up. Louise, if you're going to make such a statement, please tell us why.
All the day's work.
The excitement of the new girl, classic.
Yeah, exactly. And then to never be invited again was a bit like, oh, they've realised how strange I am. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Because I remember all of my friends going, oh my God, you got invited to her party. She's a really popular girl. I can't believe you've been invited. And I was like, I literally have no clue who this girl is.
Yeah.
you know, so I went, and it was the most awkward experience of my life. I didn't really know anybody there because none of my friends had been invited. It was just me. It was so uncomfortable.
Yeah. What about you, Samara?
I don't think I really got invited to a lot of parties as a child, to be honest. I don't really remember any. But obviously, having a child on the spectrum, he's been invited to a lot of parties, but we've kind of realized over time that he can't really spend as much time as everyone else there. Like, he definitely gets very overwhelmed, so we've kind of had to shorten the time down that he would spend at people's houses.
Yeah.
So he still gets to join in, but we usually take him away earlier, or maybe he won't take part in the sleepover, or yeah.
So I remember only one spectacular party that I went or had, and I was just turning 4, and at the time we lived in a sort of like a manse house. So in Scotland, we were in Scotland, and the manse used to belong to the church area, but it got sold off, and it was right at the end of the village lane. There were no other houses behind our house. And I had said to all my nursery friends that they could come on the provision that they brought with them a teddy, because it was a teddy's picnic. And I remember seeing my mother's face go ashen as she saw car after car after car slowly edging their way up the hill, because she knew she'd sent out something like 6 invites, and I'd invited the whole class. And my mother is not a particularly sociable person, but the reason why so many parents came wasn't because that everybody was friends with me, but because they were all so damn nosy. They could not believe their luck to find out finally who lived at this house at the end of the lane. My mother roasted me alive. And she'd gone so much effort making these beautiful little jellies in frilly cases, and she didn't have nearly enough. But the novelty for so many parents, I mean, it was front page gossip, I should think, the following week. But I remember being roasted alive, and there were no more parties after that. But nor did I get invited to any parties. And that was really sad when you realize that everybody else has been to a party and you would like to go to a party. You don't know what you're going to do when you get there, but you do feel, I don't think it's envy, and I don't think it's jealousy. It's more sadness. What's wrong with me? Why didn't I get an invite? But I also was acutely aware that there was a lot of people who thought my family was strange. So you kind of get to accept that, don't you? And then when you kind of get a bit older, you realise that you clearly are not in the popular group, like Yasmin has suggested. And there is most definitely not going to be any invites unless people want to ridicule you and have you as their entertainment. And that's even more terrifying. So in some respects, you learn quite quickly to kind of just avoid people like the plague, because they're actually no good for you. They're always up to mischief, and that's not conducive to your health and well-being, really. But still, that sadness was a long time lingering.
Yeah, just going back to parties, the ones that I remember the most vivid were obviously my own, but I always remember you putting like really big effort into it. And so maybe that's why I remember them so much, and I remember during the times I was at school, probably people thought I was quite embarrassing. We all kind of look back and go, oh, that's embarrassing. But I think people were a little bit jealous, I'm going to say, that my mum really took an interest in what I was into. So for example, the parties that weren't my own that I was invited to, it was always like the boys' parties. I wasn't ever really invited to the girls' parties. It was always the boys because I was friends with all the boys. I remember going to a Doctor Who themed party and I was the only girl in this village hall of boys and I went dressed as Rose Tyler. I remember things like that. But I also remember things that weren't party related. Like, for example, when I got that award at school, and I didn't think you knew about it. So I was so upset. And then I saw you sat there because I was like, oh, she got the letter before me. And I remember you giving me a chocolate orange and you passed it down the row and you said, can you pass it down to Yasmin? Can you pass it down to Yasmin? And then I will name her, Abby, sat there and went, thank you very much. And I was like, you've never met this woman before. She's clearly give me my chocolate orange, bugger. But everyone was like, wow, your mum's done that for you. And I was like, your parents don't do that? So I was a bit like, oh, okay.
We've got a comment, which is lovely. It's very upsetting for both the child and parent, but we took it on the chin. He's never been to a party, but he struggles with this environment anyway. It was a light bulb moment for me. My child is different as peers can see it. Yeah, that is a very good point, actually. When you see it in that environment, you do see how difficult it is, how challenging it is, not only for the young person, but for the parent and also the other people who are kind of watching on. Yeah, thank you for that. That's really good. Okay, what about transitions? I think it's important to think about transitions here because, in the build-up towards the birthday, and that you want it to be a good day, but you also know that the day is going to go very fast, don't you? It's kind of like, it's going to be short-lived, but there seems to be a very long momentum up to it. And I don't know whether that's better or not, because I also know that we're not very good on the autistic spectrum with this sudden announcement, right, we're having a party, it's going to be at 4:00 this afternoon and we've invited all these people. That just doesn't work. It's just like going to meltdown. So, how soon and how long should we prepare for it? Samara, what do you think?
I mean, it's hard as the child gets older because they know it's nearly their birthday, so they start counting down 2-3 months before it. But one big thing I've noticed is that their behavior goes absolutely out the window on the lead up to the birthday. Like, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of tantrums. It's almost like the excitement is so overwhelming that they can't really deal with it. And I know quite a few parents who say the exact same thing, that their behavior just absolutely goes out the window. But if when they're younger, you can hide that it's their birthday until a few days before. But obviously, when they get older, you can't do that anymore.
No, because they're then aware of it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, okay, what about, go on.
We always get tears on the birthday. There is always a lot of crying and tiredness. And so...
Yeah. Yasmin?
I mean, the idea of a surprise party is actually one of my worst nightmares. If I got a slight inkling that somebody is taking me to a surprise party, I'm not going. You can go and explain to everybody why I have not shown up, because that just, oh no, I'm not dealing with that. But when I was younger, I used to make my own little calendars, like 12 days before, to count down the days. But when I was a kid, my birthday was always in the summer holidays, so I never really had anybody around other than family. So I didn't have outside influences constantly going, it's your birthday coming up, what are you doing for your birthday? Because everybody in my inner circle already knew it was kind of an unspoken thing. So I didn't have this kind of time bomb going off of it's nearly your birthday, because I was doing some work the other day and I went, well, what day is it? And I was like, oh, it's the 9th. And I went, oh my God, my birthday this weekend. Oh no, because I forgot, because I'm getting older now and nobody goes, oh, how old are you turning this year? Nobody asks that question anymore. So you forget about it until you're suddenly like, oh my God, it's only like 3 days away.
I find that there's been a couple of years where I haven't realised literally until the day before. And that sounds bonkers because I'm constantly looking at my diary, but I'm not thinking about, oh, it's my birthday. I'm very conscious that I'm aware of other people's birthdays, but as the years have got busier, that almost feels like it's just a pain in the ass now because I'm constantly chasing my tail. And I have this very annoying situation now where I put things in safe places months before. I can never find it, never remember it on the day, and then I have to go out and still go and do shopping, and that just drives me insane. So that doesn't help at all. But certainly now, and again, I don't think this is an older thing, though people might challenge me. I really don't want a lot of fuss. I do want to go out and celebrate, but the celebration is more like, I think what we did, you know, we went out to go and see something where invariably there's a garden involved, because then, you know, the focus is taken away from you. You're looking at something, aren't you? And everybody can find pleasure in something in a garden or something in an art gallery, something that will appeal to them. And then you're not having to please everybody. But the one thing I really do get stressed by is having to make a wretched decision. So people will say, what would you like to do? I don't know. What would you like to eat? I don't know. And I'm so busy. It's back to this environment where I'm so busy about worrying what other people think. Will they like that choice of food? Will they want to come out with me and do that? And so I kind of get really stressed and distressed by the whole process. And then you think in the end, is it really worth it? I might as well just have forgotten the day and then be done with it. You know, that way there's no more worrying about it. You ever feel that?
Yeah, but I think this is maybe a generational thing. I get really upset because I've got like nearly 200 friends on Facebook, and nobody ever wishes me a Facebook message of happy birthday, and I do it for everybody else. And what upsets me the most is you get a notification that it's my birthday and you still can't be asked to write happy birthday. That's it. I'm not asking for a lot, just happy birthday with maybe like a small emoji next to it. I don't get that. And then I'm like, oh, great. And it's fine because you and Dad give me cards, but you don't put it on Facebook. And that sounds really bad. Like, I want people to see it, but it's like, maybe it's
just that acknowledgement, isn't it?
Exactly, because it's like, it's just another day to you people, isn't it? Okay, never mind then. It just annoys me so much when it's, I know you get a notification. I know you've got a notification, and you still haven't said happy. What is wrong with you people? Just be polite and say.
But in my defense, I do normally.
Yeah, no, you do, but I've got nearly 200 Facebook friends, and it's like 2. And they're people who live near me, who I'm going to see on the day anyway. And it's a bit like, oh, okay, that's a bit rubbish, isn't it? You know, it's like celebrating my birthday in the school summers all over again. Like, but it's online, and it irritates me because I got a notification today. It's 2 people's birthday. So I said happy birthday. But I can tell you for a fact, they're not going to wish me a happy birthday when it's my birthday. And then I'm just like, what's the point? And then I become even more of a hermit than I normally am. You know, it's just like, I don't know people anymore.
What about like one of my clients really struggles with being given money? Now, Yasmin, this is definitely not going to affect you, but this client does not feel comfortable getting a lot of money. And when they are given a lot of money, they are expected to naturally go and spend it. And then they get even more stressed that they can't spend it because in their eyes, that is something that is a lot of money and you mustn't waste money. So in the end, giving this purchase, this gift of money actually evokes a lot of anxiety. So what about that?
Even receiving money, like back in the day when you used to get it in a birthday card, I don't know if anybody else had the system of, I didn't see the money. Oh, it fell into my lap. Oh, thanks for the £2, whatever. Yeah. Because I felt like if I automatically opened it and went, thanks for the money, people, it's just too much attention to me. So you always just used to ignore it and you pretend to read the message on it and then go, oh, money, thank you. Because otherwise it's just so pressurizing, you know, and even when it's my own money. I bought that TV from Tesco's and I went in I'd seen it for weeks and weeks and weeks, but it still took me 3 visits of looking at it, breaking down the cost, standing there for like 20 minutes going, do I want it? Do I not want it? To the point I would cry because I was so stressed about spending 400 quid that it really stressed me out. And that was my own money. You know, if I make a mistake with my own money, that's on me. That's my fault. But even when somebody gifts it to you and it's like, it's now your money, I still find it very hard to detach myself from the fact that it's somebody else's money. Because I also think I don't want to waste blah, blah, blah's money that they gave me.
What about you, Samara?
I find the whole giving money thing really awkward because, like, there's people that you expect to get money off. Like, you know, you get money off them every birthday. So there's that, like, anxiety build up as you open the card to how do I react when I see this money? And then there's been the odd time where there's not been money in it and then you're disappointed. So it's like, you know, how do you hide that you're disappointed? And then how do you hide that you're like feeling really awkward about them giving you money? It's just a really awkward thing.
Yeah. I also have clients who've experienced, because they're not going to school, they have witnessed them not getting gifts or cards, and yet their siblings get gifts or cards because they are going to school.
All the time. It's
a bit scary, isn't it?
Well, it was disheartening that, you know, even the people who were supposedly my friends who knew they weren't going to see me in the holiday couldn't even be asked to give me a birthday card. I know it would be like in the early start of summer, but still to acknowledge it like it's your birthday, because I used to do it for everybody else. Again, I wanted everybody else to feel like, you know, I acknowledge you, happy birthday. And my school form would always have, it's this person's birthday this week or in this coming week. And there was a kid in my class whose birthday was at the end of July. And we would split up for the summer holidays and everyone would go, remember it's blah, blah, blah's birthday during the summer holidays. So the whole class would get together and sign a birthday card and give it to him. I never got a birthday card, but the girl who was the birthday after me on August the 28th, she also got a birthday card. I didn't get one because it was in the middle of the summer holidays, so we wouldn't see you, so we're not going to give you one. And it's like, oh, okay.
That's really hurtful, isn't it? Really hurtful.
Yeah.
So there doesn't feel much that we can do about what other people do, is there? And it's almost like, you know, you can be forgiven for our young people kind of getting really upset by that, you know, but it's also a case of how do we get over this? Because, you know, life is unfair, and that is definitely unfair, isn't it? When you can see that your sibling's getting it, but it's because, you know, a grandparent's viewpoint is you should go to school, or, you know, the class feels, well, there's no point celebrating your birthday because it's right bang in the middle of the school holidays. We're never going to remember that. And, you know, it feels really quite unfair, doesn't it? So how do we kind of work our way through that? You know, it's not right, but how do we kind of live with that and not feel upset, not feel it's personal? Because it is personal, it's made personal, isn't it?
I think because for me personally, we celebrated my birthday kind of over a week. while I wasn't celebrating it with as many people, it kind of felt like I was getting the same amount of attention as everybody else.
Right.
And I remember for like a week straight, I would wear like a birthday girl badge just because I was like, nobody acknowledges me during the rest of the year, so I'm going to wear it for a week. And we were in a charity shop once, and this lady said, "Is it your birthday?" And instead of going along with the line saying yes, I said, "No, technically it's on Saturday." And she went, "Well, you shouldn't be wearing it today then." And I was like, "Don't tell me off. What was that about?" Yeah.
I was thinking about how it's really important that if we're aware that our children are being left out, it's finding a way of making them feel okay, isn't it? Because there's nothing worse than feeling nobody cares about you. There's nothing worse than people making it very clear you are not one of us. You know, that's a horrible, horrible situation to be in. But equally, it's really important that we do kind of, rather than add to the distress by ignoring it or dismissing it, by trying to do something a little bit different. You know, actually, you know, taking your child to a party and letting them spend a little bit of time, at least that means they get to see something. You know, they might come home early and they might have a meltdown, but at least they feel they have been part of it. And even if we celebrate birthdays over a long, you know, over a week, I mean, at 1 year, Yasmin had us buying her a different cake every day. Do you remember that?
I had 7 cakes in a week. And I ate them all, and I'm not sorry about it. It was great. And then somebody gifted me a cake, going, "Happy birthday, have a cake, a bit early." And I was like, "This is my 3rd cake of the week. What are you on about?" It's a safe food. I'll go for all flavors. Just give it over.
But if you're being punished for something that is beyond your remit, you know, are there ways that we could support that young person? You know, are there ways that we could support that young person? Saying, this is nothing to do with you, this is not fair, or, you know, do we go out and give them a gift anyway, an extra gift? What would you do in that circumstance?
I do think like parents have a lot to answer for with this. I know all of us went to the same primary school, the local one, and it was a very cliquey, like all the parents were very cliquey. So like, you know, they took part in leaving children out. It was them who weren't letting certain kids to their children's birthday parties. And, you know, they played a part in that. They played a part in isolating certain children. Unfortunately, my one of my brothers was one of the kids that got left out of everything. And even though he was friends with some of these kids, the parents didn't want him at the parties because they thought he was a bit weird. And so, you know, I think everyone has a role to play in talking to their children about not leaving people out, especially on birthdays and, you know.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea, but the reality is that we're not educating our children enough about the fairness, about being inclusive, and invariably they're always going to be that we're not having you because you're a bit weird, a bit wacky and wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's kind of thinking about, you know, what would you do instead? And I know that with Yasmin, quite often I would, you know, if I knew that there was a party going on, I would deliberately make sure that we were doing something so special in that same time frame that she couldn't possibly go to both. And actually, she pretty soon worked out she was having more fun doing that than she would have been if she'd gone to the party that actually she wouldn't have felt comfortable with.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's trying to find. I guess it's being aware of it and then thinking about problem solving, what could you do as an alternative, so that your child recognizes that they're not missing out, they're having something else instead. Something that's better catered for them. And I think we've come a long way over the last 4 or 5 years. Autism is certainly out there now, as is ADHD, and PDA is well on its way. So I think people are far more understanding that actually these children who are different, who are weird, wacky, way out, there's a very high chance they're on the spectrum. But still, there is still a lot of parents who are very judgmental, and invariably that doesn't help. So it's kind of about thinking how we kind of do it ourselves and having the ripple effect, I guess, isn't it? What about some people cannot handle gifts being gift wrapped because they can't see it. So there's that real cause of anxiety about, if I unwrap it, what's going to happen? And this can be for a number of reasons. So, Yasmin, when you were saying, if you open the card, I think Samara said it as well. If you open the card and there's no money in it, if you open the card, how much is going to be in there? It's this understanding, if I open the gift and I think it's something I really want, like, I remember one year, Dad deliberately wound you up. He just wrapped the biggest box he could find, and it went on forever. And at first, she was really excited, going, "Wow, is it really this?" And it was torture. I berated him forevermore afterwards.
That's not the one I was automatically thinking of,
Oh yeah.
So, oh God, it's gonna date it, isn't it? 2012. It was Christmas, but I completely remember it. I really, all I wanted for Christmas was a onesie. That's all I wanted. And I thought my uncle had gifted me a onesie, and I got so hyped about it. I'd opened it and I was jumping all over the place thinking it was a onesie. I then realised it was a dress, and I'd already shown my excitement for it. So I was like, oh God, I've got to hug him now and go, thank you, I love it. And I was like, it's an ugly dress. It was a nice onesie. It's a horrible dress. But, by then I'd already shown that I was so excited about it. So he thought he'd done so well. And I could feel it going. I don't like this. I actually don't like this. But I'd already shown my excitement that I had to kind of keep up the act for a bit. And for years, he would bang on about how he did so well with that Christmas present. And I was like, all right, could have read the room a bit, but clearly not. Yeah, I remember that. Because I know
Samara?
Like, dropped.
Yeah. What about you, Samara?
Again, I think with like unwrapping presents, like I'm going to sound like a really ungrateful person, but it's kind of like as you're unwrapping it, you're kind of getting hyped up that you're going to have to show excitement, that then it's completely fake when you open it. Even if you like it or not, it doesn't matter. It's completely fake because you've had to work on so much how you're going to make yourself look really happy with this thing.
Yes. Another comment? Oh, this is really good. So Alice practices saying, thank you, I love it, and we use it all the time. The problem is everyone now knows his appreciation speech and when he's been sarcastic. Oh, brilliant.
Sometimes I feel like, though, when I'm touching a present, I feel like I'm that Vine of thanks, an avocado. It's like, I've got to be really excited. I don't want this. What am I supposed to do with it? And I'm just like, thanks, and I'm like trying so hard to be like, I hope this is like Oscar award winning acting of, I really like it. And inside I'm going, that is going into the back of the cupboard and I'm never using that. Or it's the other extreme where I don't like it, but this person's clearly really thought into this gift and they thought, I've got such a good gift. So I will use it in front of them like 3 or 4 times and then never use it again. So at least they think I liked it and it's just, I've done something with it. I will make a show. Oh, this mug. Yeah, you got it for me. I love it. And then it's like, I've never used it again. But yeah. And if Dad is watching that, it's not my F1 mug. I love that one. I use it every Sunday.
Yeah.
It's not that mug.
Bless. I do remember one year desperately asking for clogs, and my mum, in her infinite wisdom, and I'm sure she thought it was great torture, bought me what was an open toe clog, but it had ribbed nibs on it, so it was supposed to massage your foot. It was so painful to walk on, but anyway, the trick is you wear it for a time and your foot becomes hardened to it and actually then finds it quite good. And I hated it. I was so upset because I really thought, you know what, it sounds like clogs. And then I unwrapped it, and well, let's just say I wasn't very happy. But equally, I remember thinking when I was a teenager, what I really, really, really wanted was a camera. And what I ended up with was those snap and pick. You know, it was the equivalent of a cheapy cheap. You got one roll and that was it. And nobody would pay for the film to be developed. So that was a complete waste of time. So you kind of get the idea that some people seem to take great pleasure in giving you what you think you want and then showing you that you didn't want that. And so how do you then show some appreciation when in actual fact that wasn't anything you asked for? What is this?
I'm guessing that was about my F1 mug reference. I don't know. I do love that mug. I'm now going to be trying to prove that I use it every Sunday when there's a race. I have my soya milk in it in the morning. I use it a lot. You know, I'm thinking more of this gold cup that somebody gave me that said keep calm and carry on. And I was like, this has annoyed me. Stop myself from throwing it at their head. Keep calm. Yes, I will keep calm and put it in the cupboard and never use it.
What about the sort of like cost? Because some people kind of go over and above spending a fortune, don't they, getting everything. So, you know, what's a reasonable cost for, especially for an autistic child who wants a lot? Yeah, where is it? So what about cost then?
That's a difficult one because it depends what your child's interest is. So like some interests are very expensive.
Yeah.
So, and it's really hard because you know what children are like. They want to see a lot, like loads of presents. They don't want to see like just one or two presents. So I always end up spending a fortune like that I'll end up paying for the next couple of months afterwards because his interests are so specific and so expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm one of those mums that's probably a bit over the top.
Okay, Yasmin?
Sorry, all I can think of is that Dudley quote, 36! 36! Number 37! I'll get you 2 new ones. Sorry, that's all I can think about. Whereas I've had interests, and you've bought things that maybe aren't directly that interest, but they correlate. So it's like you still put thought into it. And I'm a really bad person when it comes to this. I will gift people things, and it's like a really good gift. Like it's a really good gift. It's really about that person. It's definitely for them. I've put loads of thought into it. And I'm itching to go, you know, especially if I've got it like a really good deal. And I'm like, I don't want to ruin it by saying, guess how much I paid for that? But I am eternally going, guess how much I paid for that? So I've done it to you quite a few times. So I got you that Ted Baker like bag because you really like Ted Baker. And I was like, I shouldn't be saying this, but guess how much I paid for it? And you went, I don't know how much. And I went, free! I got it for free! And so I was so hyped, like, you're going to be so proud of me. I did such a good job. But obviously you can't tell people, by the way, that gift was only £2. What a good deal did I get? You can't say that. That's not acceptable. But I'm like itching to go, guess how much? Guess how much I paid for that? But, come on, you're not supposed to do that.
You're funny. It was so
And
funny.
Sometimes you gift me stuff and I'm like, I know I've seen it in the shops on deal. And I have to stop myself from going, how much did you pay for it? Because £30, I'll be like, well, it was £25 in Tesco's last week. You know, I can't say that. Like, that's not allowed. You're not allowed to say that. You just have to go, oh, thanks. So then for weeks, I'm thinking, wonder how much you paid for that. You know, it's really bad.
What
I
about
think it's very. Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, what about when there's a few children? So I know,
Yeah.
like with me and my siblings, it was always like, well, how much have they spent on you on your birthday? How come they've
Yeah.
not spent that much on me on my birthday?
Yeah.
I even do it now. Like one of my brothers is 18, and they spend so much money on him on his birthday, and like I'm like, why don't you spend that much on me? I know I'm old, but come on.
Yeah. And also, do we make a difference for birthdays years? So, like, for example, Yasmin's shortly to be 21. Then there's 16, sweet 16, 18. What else? 13. 13's a big year. Even double digits, 10, I suppose, or, do we give credence to them being sort of like a landmark or not?
I don't know.
And if so, does that, if you're going to be 18, you might want to do driving lessons. So that costs a lot of money. You might give a bigger gift set, might be more money.
Yeah, but everything that I did for like my 18th, it wasn't big in monetary value. So, for example, you said for years, for your 18th birthday, I will get you your first car. You didn't buy my first car. I bought my first car. So I got robbed of a car.
How many driving lessons did you have?
That's not the point. You said I was going to get a car. There is no car.
It would have been cheaper for me to do the car.
That's your fault.
You do the driving
lessons. That's not my fault. But like the biggest thing I can think of my 18th birthday wasn't expensive because again I paid for it. I went into Tesco's and I bought a bottle of Prosecco. I bought my first one, and we'd come back from dinner for my birthday, and you and Dad hid behind the security scanners, going, "Oh, she's going to the till." Oh, and this lady was like, "Are they with you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she went, "Do I need to check ID?" And I went, "No, I'm 18." And she went, "Oh yeah, when?" And I went, "Today." And then she went, "Oh, that makes sense." And I was like, "Yeah," because you'd been with me down the aisle, and then I went to go and pay, and you were suddenly gone, only to be peeking out over the scanners, going, "Oh, she's buying it, she's buying it." And I was like, "This is embarrassing." And when I was younger, I was always like, for my 21st birthday, I'm going to go to America because, you can legally drink at 21 there. I want to prove a point. But now I'm like, that's expensive. I don't like America. I'm not that keen on Americans because they sometimes can be very irritating. I don't want to put myself through that. But I was like, that's a big way to celebrate your 21st, isn't it? Because what else are you supposed to do? Because 18 is UK. That's when you're like, oh, I can go and buy alcohol or something. There's not really anything special or age restricted after that that's like, wow, I can do that now. That's kind of the last big one. The others are more big because of the number you're turning and how you celebrate it. It's not like there's anything that goes hand in hand with that. 17, I can start driving. 18, I can legally buy alcohol. After that, it's just kind of, oh, great, I'm a year older. Fantastic.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot to consider this, isn't there? Because I'm thinking, if we as autistic people are obsessional about our interests, presumably those interests could cost a lot of money. I definitely think for me that is a definite, gardening costs a lot of money, and I'm very happy to go shopping, garden shopping, anytime, any place, anywhere. Any other kind of shopping I just find is, exhausting, but it costs a lot of money. We've got loads and loads and loads of young people who are heavily into gaming. They are not cheap. They cost a lot of money. If you've got any Star Trek fans or Doctor Who fans, they love going to these conferences, don't they, where they meet up with other people. But again, all these things that are on for sale are not generally cheap, so they're quite expensive. Or even if you're just going away to do a specialist interest, it's quite expensive, isn't it? So I've come to the conclusion that us autistic people have incredibly good taste. It just costs a lot of money. Let's wrap up then with the last few minutes thinking about cake. Are we in cake? Are we not cake? Because Yasmin, you showed us something else today. Look at this. Sophie's saying, I always put so much pressure on my birthday that I need to do something really exciting and memorable. When really my best birthdays are just chilling with my family. Nice. Well said. Definitely. So come on then. Last little bit. Does it have to be a cake? Because today we had donuts.
Yeah, to be fair, I was thinking they're all pre-portioned. You know, everybody gets the same amount. You know, whatever. It's easier. I will probably get a cake for myself.
Undoubtedly.
I was like, just for everyone's convenience, donuts are probably better. Maybe I should have gone with donuts that have like brownie pieces on it or something. I don't know. That would have maybe been better. But I feel like it depends what is special for you. You know, because if you have something regularly, it doesn't seem that much of a treat that's like special of this is what, you know, we used to do ice cream sundaes for birthdays and stuff because we didn't get them a lot. And you used to be able to get like the really big ones with like eclairs and everything. Yeah. So that was like really special. It was different. It wasn't what you normally got. And that's what made it so cool, really, I guess.
Yeah. What about you, Samara?
There definitely has to be a cake because it's not really been your birthday if you don't have a cake. But
Right.
for me, I'm very, very picky when it comes to cake. So it has to be homemade. I don't do shop bought cake.
Wow. So we let you down then, didn't we?
Oh no!
Maybe carrot cake next year.
Okay, saying that, there is some cakes I like, but they're not your typical birthday cake. Like I said, I like lemon cake, which isn't really your typical birthday cake.
No.
Or I like the old school cakes.
Oh yeah.
Again, it's not really your typical. So unless it's them, I won't have a. Do you know the proper birthday shop bought cakes you get? I'm not into them at all. So, so I'm very picky.
And also, if you, because you know, one year Yasmin had just about we tried every type of cake there was. You know, it's a different day. We're going to try this one. And although that was quite fun, by the end of it, I was quite relieved there was no more cake. It was just like, I'm done for the year now. But also we have our preferences. I adore carrot cake, but there's only one kind of carrot cake that I go for. I do like lemon drizzle. I like a really good chocolate cake, but again, the best one that I've ever tasted is tended to be homemade. And it has to be soft and fluffy.
Yeah.
It can't be, and lots of people don't like loads of icing, whereas children, when they're very young, love, you know, luscious blue and pinks and greens and yellows, you know, and I'm just like, just stick with the plain what you know. But you also, Yasmin, quite like the velvet cake, which is a relatively new thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I love the red
struggle with that a bit. I can't get my head around that one.
Or the rainbow cake. I love a good rainbow cake.
Yeah.
Waitrose, very good, but they've stopped selling it as a big one now, so I only get slices of it, which is just rude. You know, or the Tesco's did a cookies and cream one, which was really nice. But I don't think I can have that for my birthday because you bought one reduced to celebrate me passing my driving test, and I didn't pass. So we just sat there in depressed silence eating this cake. So that's kind of ruined it for me. But I find it interesting that you're like about colours and stuff. Said the woman who said, "Oh, we'll get Michelle to make you an F1 cake. She'll make you an F1 car." And I was
I wouldn't have been eating it. I wouldn't have been eating it, so it would have been all right. And do we have to have candles or fizzes? What do we, is it just the cake, or are we allowed candles, or?
You have to do candles, otherwise
You have to.
Right. You might as well have just bought cake and custard.
Yeah.
You do candles. It doesn't matter if you do the sparkly ones, you do the shooting fountains, whatever. You have to have candles. I will even occasionally, it's not my birthday, but I'll just put a candle in a slice of cake because it makes me feel happy. I've got loads of them in the drawer. Why not? Just occasionally. Yes, blow a candle out. Well, hey, let's go.
Very good. Very good. Okay, we've run out of time. Thank you so much to both of you for joining me today. And thank you so much to our viewers who've joined us today and to the comments. Oh, somebody's just literally flown in with one. So if we started off with that, yeah. We do too. All right, everybody. Thank you, Louise.
Thank
you very much. Everybody, we will be back next week. I have absolutely no idea what we'll be talking about, but we will be back next week for sure. 12:15 on Wednesday. If any of you are feeling that you need to have some therapy, or if you need to have some EHCP looking at before the dreaded rush, I'm almost feeling like I need to take a holiday in September just so I'm not available, but you know where to come, the M word. Thank you again. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.